Welcome everybody. Today's yoga class is going to be a combination of fascia release work using a foam roller and various yoga poses and hybrid forms of yoga in order to really open up areas of tension and tightness in the body. Just to revisit, yoga is meaning union between all the different layers of more gross and more subtle aspects of who we are, union of body, mind, and spirit. It's the ultimate biohacking of your consciousness, if we were to use modern terminology, because the what we are doing is optimizing and navigating through all the layers of ourselves so that we're free of limitations, so we can cause our own reality and understand what is illusion and how to navigate it, because there is for sure a part of us that is limitless, timelessness, and has nothing to do with the body. But during the time of life on planet Earth, in this body, we have limitations in our awareness, and these limitations give us an aspect of personality, time, and space that can create oppression and suppression. So we are really working towards opening all of this. Before we start, I also wanted to invite you to be aware that in my personal work with people, both in groups and in courses, I delve into this much more deeply, and I delve into how to soften the body so it's not holding on to such strict patterns, and basically physically keeping you more youthful and ultimately making you more flexible in your personality so you can navigating the various shifting terrain of life without becoming unhappy, which many of us have struggled with right now and have for the last year or more, because life was so unpredictable and we felt so helpless. And yet, there's no reason not to be happy, actually, within the yogic practices. So the focus today is on the thoracic spine, the lats, and just opening up the whole body. But before we start into this, let's just get centered. So we're sitting with a nice tall spine. Put the palms up so you're in a receptive mode, and close your eyes and center into your space. And just take a moment to notice. Notice where you feel tight, where you feel loose, where you feel darkness or lightness. Just observe, really get in touch with whether you're listening to any sounds, what you have a kinesthetic awareness of, both internally and externally, what kind of thoughts are going through your mind, what kind of smells you may be responsive to, and what is your state of being. Just to check in. We so seldom check in, and yet the only reality that we can ever experience is our own. And it's good to kind of get into that so that you can start to dissolve what is not desirable. Let's take a few deep breaths in. So starting by breathing taking as full a breath as you can without tension. So start breathing in, expanding the lungs, filling them up, noticing that the spinal column can get longer and straighter as you breathe in. Then hold the breath. And then breathe out like a balloon that's deflating, but without losing the extra space you've just created. Start your breath again, very relaxed, very tranquil, very soft, allowing the breath to penetrate stiff, stale, stuck areas. When you hit tension or tightness, stop there. And breathe out. Just practice the release and the letting go. Much of everything about life you can let go of, but we tend to hold on and create suffering. And again, breathing in. Maybe you can open up your lungs a little bit more. As you breathe out, feel that something in your subtle body is lifting and getting lighter and rising up. Last breath, breathing in. Hold. And then breathe out. And notice as there's something lifting up. That you're rooted down and you're lifting up and you're getting light. Slowly open your eyes. And from here, we're going to use the foam roller to start with to soften tissue that gets very tight. The beauty of living in the modern age and not being someone on a mountaintop 2,000 years ago. So we're going to start with this area. So we have the shoulder blade here and then the tissue around here. So we're addressing the top of the lats, which are very influential in our breathing, posture, and mobility of the arms and shoulders. So get yourself, so I'm not exactly on my armpit, but just a little bit below, and just roll up and down until you find a spot that is painful to you, because we all have tightness there. We're getting close to the attachments of the lats, which go right up here, if you can see, into the top of the arm, the tricep area. And once you've found it, you can support your head, or you can be like this, but you want to sink into this area and see how much you can release into it. Now, as you do this, it's cold here, so I'm wearing my sweater. Just rock very gently backwards and forwards, so you're rolling into this tight muscle fiber. You want to do this slowly and see how much you can support your head if you want to. I actually get better traction if I don't. You want to see how much you can start to release into the area. You can actually take the top arm and lengthen it away so it's also opening up this chain of my body at the same time. And your legs can be any way you want. They can be bent, they can be straight. That's very personal. We are just focusing in and trying to get the best leverage we can into this part of our lats and our anterior serratus muscles, the muscles on the sides of the rib below the armpit. The names are not important, the location is. And now, probably bringing your arm, you're going to roll, I'm not going to bend, up and down. So you're moving back and forth around this area, starting to release the area even more. So this work can be done on balls of various kinds, Yamana balls, Franklin balls, whatever you have around. This foam roller I'm using is a little bit soft. I love the texture of it, but it's your call. A lot of people have a tighter foam roller, that's all good. And again, let's have yourselves lift and lower. Lift, notice when I lift, the foam roller rolls down a little bit. And when I drop my head, it comes up a bit. Lift and down. One more time, lift and down, and stretch out the arm and relax. Let's take 3 breaths here. Feel how the breath also presses into the foam roller, so we're focusing in this area. Breathing in, just feel the expansion of the ribs into the foam roller. Breath out, sink and relax. Try to get the tissue to soften everywhere. Breathe out. One more time, breath in. And breath out. And for fun, stretch stretch the other arm up and over. Let the shoulders go as far up as you can. We're really stretching the sideline of the body just to get even more of a traction into these side ribs area. And we'll do the same on the other side. So change over. Remember, it's just somewhere a little bit, you will find your own spot, somewhere on the side ribs, close to the shoulder blade area, which is pretty high up, almost at the armpit, but not quite. But this depends upon you. If you're a petite person, it may be higher to a person lower. Find that spot. So let's start with just going back and forth until you find where you have sensitivity. Where's that slightly more raw spot that is talking to you? So first we're just ironing out the area. If you have lots of spots, just choose one and let's just sink into it. So if you notice, I don't really have a set way to have my arms. I'm just feeling in to my own body to see where is it that I get the most traction or bang for the buck, you could say. If you were to just use it. I'm actually really tapping into my own body. There's no two people with an identical experience. No two people that will ever have an identical experience in two different times. I mean, my right and left side of my body is different. So just kind of be in the present moment, feel around, and once you find a spot, start sinking in there and then gently rolling back and forth. Starting to let that tissue open. It sometimes can take 2 minutes to 10 minutes for the fascia to really shift. We're creating a spreading in a web of tissue that can get tight and holding. Great if you've been working out and you're sore and tender. This can really speed up your recovery. Or if you're permanently stiff and tight, this can start to really change your anatomy. Now up and down. So remember, when I'm lifting, the foam roller rolls down. When I'm going down, it rolls up. Lifting and down. Lifting and down, lifting and down. Again, just taking a moment here. Again, rolling back and rolling forward, just spending time. This is definitely, probably we're getting close to the 2-minute mark when we do it, these different variations. I'm also taking this arm and I'm tractioning it a bit and feeling the connection of the lats into the triceps. Very cool. Everything's connected to everything. So when you start to release one area, you start to send a vibration down and messaging down through the whole body, and the brain absorbs it, of elongation and change. And now let's take a few deep breaths, breathing in, expanding into the foam roller, breathing out, sinking, breathing in, breathing out. I'm going to stretch this arm away, so I'm also stretching the side of my neck and the top of my shoulders. Oh, so good. And stretch the other arms. Both sides of the body are getting this nice length. Remember, I'm not keeping my shoulders down. That actually closes those parts of the ribs that we're trying to get into. Let the shoulders come up. Don't be afraid of it. They won't stay there forever. And you will have much more rib cage and lung capacity if you open up this area. And more power in the lats. So come back up. Oh, just roll the shoulders to feel what has just happened for you. And I don't know about you, but I feel like my shoulders dropped and my neck is more free. And I hope you notice differences. Pay attention to these subtle changes that anything and everything you do creates, so you can navigate more easily. Now, again, to open up our thoracic spine, you can do this with a smaller foam roller. I'm just on my ribs and my head. So it's causing this inflation of the rib cage and an opening. You can have your legs straight. It's up to you, or bent. And we're going to do the equivalent of angel arms, but I'm floating them a little bit off the floor. And then, boy, I have to get my ponytail. And then all the way up again. Let the shoulders go up so you have this stretch. If you do it right, you may even feel the pull and the lengthening all the way through your abdominal muscles to your pubic bone. If not, you have lots of room for the journey. And come down. So the palms are facing up right now. Opening the chest, stretching how low or high the arms are from the floor is your call. Use it to traction. Notice I'm lifting the rib cage to create this elongation. And down. Now let's play with the hands, because each angle affects a different part. If the palms are facing each other and you go up, now the backs of the hands are coming towards each other, and the angle into the armpits is different. We want maximum range of movement to potentiate ourselves. And this kind of work can really speed up change. Really good beneficial change and recovery. Lengthening and down. This can massively help your breathing, opening up this whole part of the body. So, we're dealing right now with COVID and lung concerns, and getting the lungs super open and doing breathing work can really charge up your immune system and strengthen you, and also give you tools and skills to clean out the lungs and keep them oxygenated, which means you're less prone to get infected. I'm not saying that's an absolute solution, but it's a hack that I firmly believe in. And I have had friends who had lung infections that they started doing breath work and opening the lungs up, and they recovered. They really changed everything by that. So now the palm is facing down, and keep that rotation and spiral in the arm, and you will notice it is affecting you differently. It's stretching a different part. If you can keep the elbows straight as you do this, do so. Maybe tapping into the eagle part of you, or the bird part of your genetic evolution. We all are a conglomerate of evolution, really. And you sometimes in yogic practices, you can start to tap into some very deep layers of awareness. Beyond the to-do list. Makes life interesting. Makes life a mystery, which is even more interesting. Relax for a minute. And now coming up, we turn the foam roller widthwise, and let's start it at the lower part, maybe bra line and below bra line of your rib cage. And to begin with, all you're going to do is roll back and forth. So just back and forth on the whole rib cage, giving it a good ironing out, softening all those bones. And now notice that I'm bringing my elbows up a little bit. I'm doing that to check, is my shoulder blades wide? Please do that. I'm going to take this sweater off because it's catching too much. Okay. And now moving on, let's have you go all the way to the neck. So when you get to the neck, it kind of hooks into the top and then back. So a little bit longer of a runway. Hook into the neck. So you get to stretch the back of the neck a bit. And back. One more time. Into the back of the neck. and back. Now bring the foam roller back to where you started, which is at the more the bottom, below the shoulder blade area. And let's arc back. Now really let the rib cage inflate and let the chest open. In this position, take a deep breath in, opening up from the diaphragm. Open up the lungs. Spread them and breathing out, relax. So we have fascia on the inside of the rib cage, and that's something you can't get at except by breathing and putting your body in certain shapes and then breathing. Just stretch and get tension out of there. And now a few times, curl up. So you round, notice I'm pushing into the foam roller and then arcing and opening everything out. We'll do this 3 times. Again, curling in and rolling out and opening everything up. One more time in this spot. And rolling and opening everything out. Now roll a little bit further up. So the foam roller is in the area of the low shoulder blade. And same thing, rolling back, using the draping over the foam roller to really expand and move those little bones. Curling up. So our rib cage can get really calcified and stuck, and a lot of mobility gets lost as we get older, so we want to repotentiate this area. Opening up. Notice that you may even be getting a stretch in the front of the chest. That's fantastic. We want to stretch the front and the back. And then we're going to hang out here and take 3 deep breaths. Breathing in, breathing out, breathing in, breathing out, relaxing even further. I'm going to lift my elbows for the final one, breathing in and breathing out. And I'm relaxing down and sending the elbows over my head like I'm stretching them in this angle. It's a slightly different stretch. Now moving up even further, so top of the shoulder blades. Again, lifting the head, arcing. So there's a little movement of bending, but still there is some, and you want to let your body just receive the pressure and open. Lifting, opening, and let's take a few breaths in. Breathing in, breathing out, breathing in, breathing out. Last one, I'm bringing my elbows closer together to get a different angle. Breathing out. And one more time, lifting your head up, lifting your hips a bit and rolling the full spectrum of the rib cage back and forth, loosening up any residual tightness, stimulating the whole thoracic spine, rib cage spine, and then let's go all the way to the neck, stretching it a little bit, long, and stretching into the neck. One more time. Nice and long. And stretching into the neck. Oh, so good. Now, let's come off. And we will start some yoga moves. Please stand up. I'm going to stay kneeling because if I stand up, you'll miss most of my body. So imagine I'm standing. And all we're going to do, once you're standing up, you want a nice sense of verticalness. Your ribcage should feel really good. Let's take a deep breath in and stretch. Notice my shoulders are up. It's like a big wing. Just lifting as much as you can. And out again. And up. Lift, stretch. So because you're standing, you want to try and feel from your feet to the fingertips that you're lifting. You're separating all the bones in your skeleton, and you're tightening your arm muscles, gripping them to create tone. So you're trying to lengthen and squeeze everything at the same time. One more time, lift. Squeeze your legs, squeeze your buttocks, lift and squeeze your belly, lift your rib. Squeeze your arms, stretch, try to touch the ceiling, and bring the arms all the way down. Now from here, you're still standing. Let me adjust my mat here. And then you roll down and you come to the floor with you bend over, I should say. Bend over. Your feet should be about hip width apart. Just dangle down and lengthen everything out. And just for a minute, walk your knees out a little bit to stretch a little bit further. And then walk yourself out to a plank. Or, I'm sorry, no plank yet, down dog, forgive me. And let's get the feet about the width of the mat. So really stretch into the backs of the leg. Use that upper back to traction. And then walk your feet out. Walk your feet out. Back to your down dog, and please claw your fingers very slightly like a cat that's kneading a carpet. And then one more time, stretch out. Lengthen everything. And now bring yourselves to a plank position. And just for a minute, notice I'm pushing away from the floor and I'm hopefully lengthening my back. So everything is nice and long. And then bring your feet together and take one foot and do a big giant step out to the side. And lower the hips as far as they will go. My hips stay a bit high, they're tight. And you're going to take this arm like this and lower that shoulder towards the floor or as far as it'll go, and then open everything up. Stretch both arms and reach. Bend and lower the shoulder down and lift up and reach. One more time, lower down and stretch. Open the chest, open the arms. Bring your hand down. Step your leg back. Come to a nice even plank. And bring the other foot up. So nice step. You're lowering your hips as low as you can. Some people can get real low down. Work in your own body. My elbow is bent. I'm bending down. And now I'm opening up. Let the hips swivel a bit. So it's kind of a free form mobility. Curl down. Open up. Stretch and reach. And curl in. And reach up, pulling the arms apart. Bring the hand back. Step back to your plank. And bend your knees. Now from here, first of all, the knees are together. Toes are extended. And we'll do a form of slow cat-cow. I'm going to turn a bit like this. When you round, I want you to push your knees into the floor. So the tuck of the pelvis and the curve of the lower back, your knees are being squeezed together, and if you can, you push down. Sometimes it helps if you lift your feet up to get that movement. And now you'll press, so now I'm pushing my hands into the floor in order to arc my back. Now the knees are pushing in. If you pull your your feet off the floor, that can help sometimes. Curl as much as you're able to. And arc, pressing away. And curve, pushing the knees into the floor. You don't have to lift the feet off, but see if you can activate the engagement all the way down your IT band through your knees. And arc up. Now, open your knees a little bit. So we're still on our hands and knees, but your knees are a little bit wider than your hips. And when we do this next part, let the hips move. So we're going to take one hand behind our head and lift it up. So I'm swiveling a little bit towards the direction all the way into my hip, opening and stretching the whole side of the ribs. Now you put your hand down, the other hand goes behind the waist, and you open up and swing your hips in the opposite direction. So we're doing this spiraling rotation. Hand down, open, hand down, open, hand down, open, hand down, open, hand down, open. So we're opening the high part of the ribs with the hand here. And now we're focusing a little bit more into the lower part of the lats. Now we'll reverse it. So this hand is behind your waist and you open. And hand behind your head and you open. And hand behind your waist. Hand behind your head. Hand behind your waist. And hand behind your head. Last one. I haven't been counting. Opening one side. And opening the other side. From here, just sit back into your heels for a minute. Roll the shoulders. Reverse the roll. Funny one, clasping the hands and the elbows together. See if you can do a figure 8 with the wrists still kind of in touch with each other. So this is mobilizing the joints in the hands. And start to notice which direction you're going, because now we'll reverse the figure 8. Haha. Did you reverse? This has been taking me some work in my brain to figure out how to navigate backwards. Every time you learn something new, you're building new brain syntaxes. So you're becoming more complicated as a computer, and a complex thinking machine up there means an easier time in daily life, because when you have to change gears, do something else, something unexpected, you have lots of options. If you're very rigid and tight and used to just one way of being, then it can be very traumatic to have to change. Shake your hands out. Now, if I was to be sideways, my hands are going to be wider than the mat. So, and let me actually change my mat so you can see. We're going to do a funny child's pose. So here I am, my hands are wider than the mat, and I'm coming down. The bottom is in the air, and I'm sinking as low down towards the floor as I can to open up my armpits and my high chest. Lengthening the arms out. Now lift your head and take one hand and put it on top of the other. and go down on that side, and you will get a huge stretch. I have my right hand on top of my left hand, huge stretch on the right side. Come back to the middle, and then other side, other hand. My hand is the left one now, so big stretch on the left side of my ribs and armpit and arm and even hips. And center. And so we're just going to be going back and forth, opening up all of this tissue, which may be incredibly tight. So take your time as you step in and out of it. You're not going to change the tissue swiftly, but the moving and pulsing and revisiting this more than once is going to really enhance your whole physiology. This will be, I can't remember which hand I started with. I think right hand, so this is my left hand. Finish up, even yourselves out, come back to the middle. Take a moment to sink down. Notice what's changed. Notice if you're going a little bit deeper. And then come back to a sitting position and let yourself settle. So this is a very contemporary style yoga practice today. And from here, let's come onto the hands and knees and bring one foot forward and lunge. So now we're starting to stretch up the hip flexor. Go as far forward as you're able to. You can take this hand behind and push your hip forward. Take your time. And then press back, just adjust so you get a stretch into your hamstring. And you can keep your hands forward or you can be upright, whatever feels better for you. We're just going to be going back and forth. So now we're starting to get more into the hamstring and the leg muscles and the hips, asking them to move. I'm letting the leg in front be slightly turned out. You don't have to do this, but it's just helping a little bit. Feels healthier. And back now. Let's just take a moment to stay here. Hamstrings get very tight. And bring your foot back. Just sit back for a minute and sit up, letting all of the muscles kind of ease. When you sit like this, there's no tension in the muscles if they're long enough to completely be comfortable and if the joints open. If you're not comfortable here, room for more practice to get yourself here. Other side, so the leg is forward. So first come into your first lunge where we hold. We're working into the quad right now and the hip flexor. You can take the hand behind you and press if you feel good with that. And then back, stretching into that hamstring. So forward and back. Just going back and forth. Loosening up, asking those muscles to remember that they can be very long. They can move. They can be shifted. and sitting back down. Letting everything settle. Let's take 3 breaths in. So we've been working a lot into the rib cage. So see how much you can expand. Breathing in. Hold. Breathe out. Again, breathing in. Hold. Breathing out. One more time like this. Breathing in. Hold. And breathing out. Before we go to the next one, we'll stretch the arms a little bit. So you're going to take the arm. So I'm taking my shoulder blade away from my back. I'm even leaning into it a little bit. So I stretch the arm across. Again, stretching and releasing all of that tissue. So the shoulder blade has gone almost to the side. Now you bring your arm like this. And again, you pull this elbow across. So you may be able to stretch deeper. Make sure your rib cage is lifted as you do this, so you're not getting into funny little shapes. Now the hand will go behind, and again, notice I'm fluctuating my rib to expose the tissue and open up the area even more. Other arm. This arm will come across it. Shoulder blade comes forward, and then I stretch the whole back of the body. I can feel the whole pull below the rib cage, on the ribs, as the muscles widen. Hand, and again, stretching. And hand behind your neck. Lifting my ribs, inflating them a bit, and opening up the side ribs and the armpit. And if your head is lifted up, you'll get even more opening happening. Bring the arms down. And now sitting, let's square this a bit more. You want your legs out. So in this position, you get your legs as wide as you can. Maybe you can have a massive spread. Maybe your legs are very small. It doesn't matter. You're working at your own capacity to just start to spread and lift. So see how much you can lift your back up and slightly press down in the knees. So let's take one hand. I've got my right hand. I'm wrapping it around my waist, and my left arm is up. So I have a big lift, opening up this side, and then I'm stretching over. So some people can get all the way to the toes. Your goal, though, is to keep the ribs open. If I go too far, my hip really comes off, and I feel that I get the best stretch if I'm just staying here. So this kind of tractioning, lengthening, opening of the whole side of the body, rolling the chest open, coming back, lifting, and bending over. This hand is really just to help kind of keep you square. If it's easier for you to use the hand, notice I've got my hand this way, it keeps me more square. It just depends. It's just a helper. So please do feel free to make it slightly different. And come back. And now, let's see if I can get my legs even wider. Stretching forward. So again, it doesn't matter how far you go. Right now my feet are flexed, but you're getting a nice opening throughout the body. And some people are great, flexible people that can go all the way to the floor. It's just you working with you. So we did this whole set with the feet flexed, which is one angle. Now extend the toes. And again, stretching over. I can go a little bit further now. I am letting my hip come up. Just so it opens up the lower part of the ribs. Nice stretch. Coming back. Long stretch. Long feet. I forgot about my feet. Oh, this side is a little bit more stiff. Come up. Open and stretch forward. So these stretches are very intense. They're quite focused. So just work at your capacity. We're not really trying to change anything in a day. It's a practice. The body responds to repetition and a language and using it. It's not a one-day act of heroism. It's a way of life to constantly expand the potential. Bring yourselves back up. Bring the legs together. Bounce the knees up and down. And now let us get on our stomachs to stretch the front of the body out. So from here, wherever you want to, you will lift up. So some of you can lift up and have your hips down and you'll have a beautiful back bend. And some of us will be more stiff like me. You want your arms straight and lift your head up. You want this stretch in the front of the body. This is about opening up from literally the quads, the pubic bone, and the shaft of the stomach and the chest. Looking up, coming down. This time, when I lift, I'm only going to lift without the hips coming off, just to give myself variety. Lifting, stretching the front shaft of the body, and down. And one more time, lifting up. I will confess I have a vision of the day when my hips will be down and my back will be very open, my stomach will be very open. Maybe someday, maybe not, who knows? But I have that picture in my mind. Come back down. And having an idea of where you're going, that you enjoy considering, but you don't beat yourself up that you're not there. You enjoy where you're at. That's the secret. Have fun with what you've got and have a dream. One hand behind and pull the foot towards your bottom. So you're stretching your quad out. If this is super easy for you, lift your thigh up in the air. If it's giving you a good stretch, you can stay there. Other side. So lengthening the quad. As I said, you can lift up if you feel you want to go to a deeper level, or just stay with this stretch. You can use a strap. If you can't get to the foot, you use a strap. And down. And now let's stretch back first into child's pose. Lengthening everything out. Releasing the body downwards. If your forehead gets to the floor and your hips are on your heels, that's wonderful. Keep stretching the arms as far away from you as you can to traction the spine. And now let's lie on the back. So lengthening the legs out. Just take a moment to feel all the tissue settle. We've done some intense deep stretching, so allowing the body to kind of recalibrate is so important. Take your arms to the side. Bend, this is my right knee. Bend one knee up and we will roll it over towards the floor. So you're going into a twist and take your time here. Let everything start to rotate. Your shoulder can come off the floor. If it stays on the floor, of course, that's ideal, but it doesn't matter. We're getting into this lower part of the hips and the IT band. And then can you take the bottom leg and lengthen it down as well? So everything is being asked to spiral. The spiral lines, if you release the fascia there, is incredible. Back on your back. And other side. The arms are out. Knee is bent. And roll all the way over. If you get to the floor, great. If you don't get to the floor, great. You can have a little pillow there, whatever you want. As long as you're getting a twist and you're starting to feel the body rotating, you're doing the right thing. Bring yourselves back. Lengthen your back out again. And from here, figure four stretch. So I've got my right foot in front of my left knee and stretching in. Letting that hip stretch. Flexing the feet is a good way to deepen the stretch. Lift your leg and stretch a little further. Bend the foot back. Keep your hands to the side. Drop the left knee to the floor so the other knee is up, and then lengthen it away from you. Can be very intense in the hips, can be very intense into the psoas and into the obliques or the side of the waist. It's very individualized. Let the body arc a bit to receive the opening. Roll back. Cross the knees and roll the knees down, opening up the chest. Come back and change your legs. So starting out with a nice long spine, bring the other leg up and stretch. Lengthen the leg up, go a little deeper. Bring the leg back down, arms to the side, drop the knee, and then lengthen the knee that's up towards the opposite ankle. Let the back arc. Bring yourself back, cross, and drop again. Come back on your backs. Bend your knees in and a few times rolling back and forth just to massage the spine, because you've done so much work throughout the whole shaft of the trunk, that putting pressure through everything's helped to distribute the nerve flow or energy around there and just kind of even everything out and decongest any final little stuck places. Roll back on your backs and bend the feet up. Child's pose. So you're holding the tops of the feet, getting your back as flat as you can, and the knees are pulling towards the floor, and take one leg and extend it out sideways. Bring it back. Take the other leg, extend it out sideways. Bring it back. And both legs. Opening up the hamstrings, opening up the adductors. It's not about getting the knees straight. It's about really opening up this deep inner line of the legs. And bring the feet back. Bring them together. And let's just take a quick Savasana. So lying out on your back. The legs are long. The hips are open. Your arms are by your side. Close your eyes. Let the legs fall loose. And start to relax the body. So as you do this, span your whole physiology. Just check in. Check into the feet. Open up the cells and the skin at the bottom of your feet and feel every toe. Relax and perceive and observe the calves and the knees, the thighs, the hips. Everything is relaxed. Keep letting go even more. Keep finding ways to let go. We put so much energy into the body. How much can you let go? Relax your stomach and your back. Keep allowing gravity to give you feedback to let go even more. Relax your stomach, your lungs, your heart, your whole rib cage. Just let go and relax. Relax your collarbones, your arms, and your hands. Relax your throat, your tongue, your lips, your lower jaw, and your cheeks. Relax your sinuses. Relax your ear canal. Relax your eyes in the sockets. Relax your eyebrows, your temples, and your forehead skin. Relax the bones of your skull and open up the top of your head. Take a few slow, deeper breaths. Feel into your fingers and your toes and move them gently. Slowly bend your knees with your help of your hands. Roll to one side. Take a moment to rest there and relax, allowing your bones to be heavy. And when you're ready, press up to a seated position with your legs in whatever shape you feel comfortable with. Keep your eyes closed and take a moment to settle into your space. And again, connect with yourself and connect with that part of you that's eternal, that is unattached to anything and unchanging, witnessing all the phenomenon of existence, which is always changing. And now to finish, let's bring our hands into prayer pose at the heart center. Give thanks for the wisdom and timeless teachings of yoga. Give thanks and honor that part of us, the inner teacher inside of us that's always there for guidance and direction when we look inwards and we listen to the truth in our own hearts. And let's ask to stay open, to stay willing to step into life, to be willing to live on the edge of comfort and discomfort, and welcome everything new as an opportunity to expand, to grow, and to increase the light that is in each and every one of us. Take a deep breath in. Bring your hands up to your forehead or third eye, down to your lips for a kiss. Bring your hands back down to your heart and bow your head to your heart. May the mind always be the servant of the heart. Lift your head and open your eyes, and namaste. And if you enjoyed this practice and you would like to know more about my courses and programs that I offer, please come to my website, niedragabriel.com, and get on my mailing list, because that's where all the secrets are, where all the information is sent out to my community. Enjoy your day.